Welcome to sunny Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, Road America. I'm not dreaming. We're actually at a race. Theoretically, knock on wood, there will be Indy cars on track tomorrow. Of course, I probably would have said that on the Friday before St. Petersburg, but here we are. So, there was a first order of business today, and it wasn't the Indy cars, but it was the stepping stones to IndyCar, the Road to Indy. Now, you may not be familiar with the Road to Indy, but the future stars of the IndyCar series participate in this series. Names like Colton Herta, Pato O'Ward, Oliver Askew, they started here. And we want to talk about them because, quite frankly, we saw some fantastic racing today, and we think it deserves some attention. Two series, USF 2000 and Indy Pro 2000. Of course, Indy Lights is not happening this year. And Kyle, USF 2000 wasn't maybe as interesting as Indy Pro 2000 was. It was really a story of dominance, and quite honestly, sometimes it's that way. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, Christian Rasmussen and the Jay Howard group really picking up where they left off last year, and they just kind of took off. And I mean, really, it was just Rasmussen taking off, and then behind him were the Cape boys. So not quite the most interesting show. I think the first race had maybe 4 laps of green, but yeah, it was definitely interesting to start off the day.
And it's important in USF 2000. Like I said, it's stepping stones. The USF 2000 champion for this year will move on to Indy Pro 2000 next year. So there's very, very high stakes because winning or losing or crashing on a weekend could be the difference between you making it to the next step of the ladder or, starting to flip hamburgers at McDonald's. So let's talk a little bit about Indy Pro 2000 because I thought some of the best racing that I've seen in quite a while came out of those two races. And the very first race was an incredible story where we saw Daniel Frost originally qualify on the pole, then he got a penalty, disqualified, started at the back, and then what happened, Kyle?
Yeah, he started from the back, had an amazing start of the race, worked his way up, just gradually worked his way. Delvin DiFrancesco, we thought that he was, going to be gone. He was going to win the thing. And classic Road America coming up the hill to the finish. What was the finish? It was like 5.
It was a matter of feet.
It was like 5 thousandths of
Yeah.
a second. It was insane. I've never seen a last lap battle in Indy Pro like that. Just insane stuff. Classic Road America.
And it's an interesting dynamic because at the beginning of the Indy Pro 2000 season, it really looked like it was maybe there was going to be a wide performance gap. But with Indy Lights kind of going away, we've seen guys like Daniel Frost and DiFrancesco come down into Indy Pro 2000 to try to win that scholarship for 2021. And I would, kind of speculate that they've really raised the bar of competition for the two races today.
For sure. Frost coming down. He actually raced, I believe, in Indy Pro last season, and he's running the FRA Americas, which was originally F3. So he has 2 shots to get a full scholarship in Indy Lights for next season. DiFrancesco actually raced in the F3 championship, and he's doing the Andretti Steinbrenner thing. So those two really guys who I don't think were supposed to be in the series for the season, really showing how strong they're going to be and how the competition's going to have to deal with them this year.
And race 2 got off to a pretty hectic start. They crashed before they even got to turn 1 in race 2. But what was really the takeaway from there? Juncos Racing really came to play in race 2.
Yeah, Artem, I believe I'm spelling Artem Petrov started up front in the second race after being in the back in the second, because how it worked was the first race, the fastest laps in the first race set the grid for the second, and guys like McElrea, who spun in the first race, they put sticker tires on and they qualified up front for the second race. So it started off with a wreck from them, and then Artem Petrov in a Stingray, because Stingray was one of the guys who had trouble in qualifying, so he ended up having his way in the front in the second race. So Juncos ended up front somehow in the second race, and Petrov just kind of took off. It was unreal and unexpected.
So that's the story essentially from the Road to Indy this weekend. It's a shame that there's not as much coverage of the series as we would kind of hope, but hopefully we'll be able to talk about it a bit more. And one of the people who is going to help us talk about that is going to help us talk a little bit about IndyCar. So let's introduce him now. And here he is. He is the 2019 USF 2000 champion, Braden Eves. Now, what we tried to do as best we could. Full disclosure, this man let us hang out in his paddock area this weekend. But we tried to remain as unbiased as possible and not bring Braden Eves in to talk, kind of analytically about the Road to Indy goings on this weekend. But we are planning on having Braden be semi full-time as our expert driver analyst when we're talking about IndyCar racing. But before we do that, you have directly benefited from the amazing scholarship programs that are available on the Road to Indy. Talk about how you've benefited from that and how other drivers will benefit from that in the future.
Yeah, so the way the scholarships work is that the champion of each series earns a scholarship that pays for the full season in the one step above. So a lot of drivers that may not have the funding to go through the whole series, the whole three-step ladder program without the scholarships are able to kind of shoot their shot. And that's what I did last year. I went into USF 2000 with the one-year program, and after that it was uncertain. So I had to go in and win the championship, and I was able to do so. And here I am racing in the Indy Pro 2000 championship. So it's a really great program that Road to Indy provides.
And obviously this was your first race of the season for Indy Pro 2000. How did it go from your perspective?
Yeah, it went really well. I mean, when you look at the results, it might seem a little bit lackluster, but honestly, we just missed the setup a little bit in race one, and we qualified second, started second in race one, and then we just didn't quite have the pace. So unfortunately, this weekend, or this day, it was actually, normally we have two qualifyings and then two races, and qualifying one will set it for race one and qualifying two will set it for race two. But because of the congested schedule, they made it so that the fastest laps in race one dictated the starting grid for race two. So when we missed the setup, it ended up hurting us a little bit. But in race two, we really got the car dialed and had the fastest lap of the race. Went from 9th to 5th, and had a couple things happen. So I think best case scenario, I probably could have finished 4th or 3rd, but it is what it is. And you got to start the championship with some good points, and we got that this weekend.
Yeah, and to be fair, there were a lot of guys who brought their cars home in little buckets this weekend. You weren't one of them. We should talk about what is going to be the main event this weekend, IndyCar. Third race of the season, and I think the story really has been Scott Dixon. Can anyone beat him?
I think they can. IndyCar is completely unpredictable, and you see Scott Dixon, who's one of the greatest of all time, dominate the start of the season, but it's not necessarily the same as a normal start of the season, because you're normally starting at St. Pete, a street course, and you know how those go. They're completely unpredictable. But I think Andretti has really, really good cars here, so Andretti will be strong. I'm interested to see how the Rahal cars do. They were really strong. Graham Rahal did a great job at IMS, so I'm interested to see how everyone does.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because not only was Graham Rahal fast, but Spencer Pigot, who is a one-car operator, not a one-car, but a one-race operation there with a pickup pit crew, and he was right at the front, had mechanical failure, and that put him to the back. Rahal really just had a bad strategy, and that was really what prevented him from challenging Dixon. It's also interesting that you brought up the Andretti Autosport team. I guess I probably needs to remind people that what happened here last year was Alexander Rossi won by like 30 seconds or something like that. It was a ridiculous margin in this kind of era of close racing. Another person I think I look at is Colton Herta. Obviously, he's won, 2 of the last 5 natural terrain road course races in IndyCar.
Yep.
He was very fast here last year. I think he was on the front row, if not the pole, but it was tire management that he really struggled with. Once he figured that out, he almost looked unbeatable last year. So of the Andretti 5, I think there's 5 this weekend. It fluctuates every race. Who do you think has got the best chance to challenge Dixon out of that 5-car team?
I think Rossi will really be looking to turn it around. I think Colton probably has the best chance. Jack Harvey was extremely strong at IMS, and he was last year as well. But he's with the Andretti crew now, so he's got all that Andretti information. So look to see him at the front, I think. I think the Andretti cars are going to be strong. I think they're going to be hard to beat, but I think Colton has the best shot.
You know who we haven't talked about? Team Penske. Will Power probably could have won the first 2 races of the season. He's had trouble in the pits. That's been his Achilles heel. It's been an un-Penske-like year thus far, despite, of course, Simon Pagenaud going from 20th to 3rd at the Indy GP. But if he qualified better, maybe he'd been in contention to win. Do you think someone like Pagenaud might surprise this weekend?
Yeah, I think all the Penske guys are always quick, and it's kind of, you can't really predict who's going to be the best Penske guy at any weekend. Anyone can step up, and they're all amazing amazing drivers, and they've got great cars. So I think it's pretty unpredictable in that aspect. But I would expect to see Newgarden up there for sure, and Pagenaud, really strong run at IMS. So I think he'll be working off some momentum as well.
All right, that's our preview. We'll see you tomorrow after a kind of unprecedented race weekend coming up. A doubleheader at Road America, practice, I think it's like 2 hours of practice, qualifying, and then a race late in the day, and then almost less than 12 hours later, they're going to be coming back for another full-length race. So driver fatigue is going to be one thing I think we're going to be looking at with the aero screen, the heat. It is very hot right now. You've been in the car, you know how hot that is. It's going to be an interesting weekend. I'm looking forward to bringing on Braden and having him as an analyst. I hope you guys like him. Let us know down in the comments what you think and what are some of your predictions for this weekend. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube. We'll see you for more coverage from Road America coming up very soon.